Good evening, friends. Becher from Mykolaiv right now. Been very busy day, hot day no less, outside for quite a while. Um, Very good honor to go film with some great training Ukrainian soldiers. Eventually, you will see what we did. I can tell you though, today, for some time, bounced around in a truck. I was in a shall we say, FPV defense course. Eventually, you'll see the filming. I will tell you it's not going to be immediate, but we'll see what parts can be put out before we get to that point, which is essentially seeing me and the guys in the truck with the soldiers getting chased by FPVs, shooting them out of the sky, um, or as we just call it, Monday. So, yeah, actually, great team, great soldiers, very proud of them. Watching them train and getting their augmented skills for many parts of the battlefield, because one of the things that we've seen in the training is that, and hello everybody who's jumping in, is that you have people who have different skill sets, but they have to augment it with drone usage, both in offensive means and to be prepared for defensive understanding. So today was my first day to literally be chased by drones and see it on the screen, literally seeing as it's locking in on our vehicle, no less. Um, yeah, seeing it go boom a lot. In fact, there's a funny thing. I just wish we had it on video. I'll see if I can get my commander friend who watched it. When they fire back at us, once I was not in the vehicle side of it, I filmed at least one segment with all that, for over an hour. And then I had to basically sit with the ground pilots who were attacking the vehicle as well. And then the vehicle comes by and does a counterattack on the pilots who were sitting there safely in the blind, if you will. And I was talking to the commander, who's the teacher here for that, great guy. And he says, oh, hold on, here they come. And they fired our direction. I just kind of went, just barely batted an eye, and then essentially it's firecrackers. When they land behind you, they're not, it is a test. And I just barely kind of looked down and went, it blew up right behind me. I didn't even flinch, didn't blink, didn't jump even here a second. I looked back at him and said, "Did you see me blink? No. Jump? No." Kind of looked at my other friend. He goes, "I was trying to tell him." I do have a little bit of what we call the pop reaction. Like, first reaction is, instinct level. At least look, but it doesn't always fire off. Tonight, be a very big honor to get to go out with night teams and new things. We'll see what we learn. Across the country right now, protests continue to bring back Fedorov, our Minister of Defense here, and it's hard to see how that will evolve, because who says he wants it back? Who says he wants to do that? He may want to go do something else. So there's a kind of a core part of certain human beings that the title's not the mission, the function is, the deliverables, the position the power that creates. Can you use it to help people? Can you use it to save your country? So we'll see how that evolves. And I've always advised supporters, just be patient. Ukrainians go through this in a way that's stressful. And I talked to a lot of Ukrainians about this, especially being down here in the South. It was good to be able to talk to some folks who had a different perspective than I would have in Kyiv. And it's you know, mostly everyone I know is thinking big picture about what to do with the war and how to just make sure everyone gets through. Uh, no soldiers I've talked to really have been really chiming in on that. They're busy talking about what they're doing to stop the Russians. So, we're live. It's 7:44 here Monday night. I'm going to go get the rest of the gear on and go out for a night run, see what we get to learn. Also, wow, the sound as we were out training today, the sound of big, powerful jets of ours chasing. I don't know if they were chasing a missile or chasing a Shahid. I just know that literally as the air defense went, or air raid alarm went off, right behind it, you hear the sound. We don't really hear in Kyiv. Very rarely do I hear aircraft. I hear helicopters crossing the river sometimes, but I don't hear really like, especially planes. We're gonna be like, we kind of laugh that we're gonna be like Neanderthal man, you know? What is this weird thing that flies in the sky like Phil Hartman's character, unfrozen caveman lawyer? Um, but no, today, I mean, literally seeing as soon as that air raid alarm went off, out goes the air firepower, and by our great pilots, but also with gear, I'm sure, donated by the West. I couldn't see the plane from my position. I saw one, but I didn't get to lock in on it to like, scope its shape as such, as one of our F-16s or something else. Doesn't matter to me, to be honest with you. What matters is who's flying it, what the mission is. Those planes being in stock is enough. So, sure. And don't drag that guy. Don't. If you can't handle the dog, I can get someone else to handle the dog, bro. One second, man. Don't yank that dog by its neck, bro. Yo, hey, sure. Hey, небезпеки, брат. I'll come down and handle you like that, bro. You yank that dog by that collar on that neck one more time. I'll put that fucking collar on your goddamn neck and drag you down the fucking street, bro. Sure. Fucking piece of shit. Some people should never own pets. Sorry. Well, you know what it is? Every society's got that dumb guy. The guy's just like, there's not enough in the gears that he can carry a pet. And as soon as he turned the corner, the dog kind of resists tempted this way. It seemed to relax, but sorry, you get to catch me in my natural state. Speaking of, um, we are getting towards the end of the month. We have a few, and I see them in here sometimes, so I have to be very careful when I say this, because if you know me about me and funding, I hate this part. But we are at the end of the month. There's a little debate right now as far as because of what you've done in the last couple of weeks while we're doing this. But as we hit the last, from the 26th to the 28th, is when the last 300 of the month comes in, and if you have not considered any paid subscriptions, please consider it. If you have not privately, like through Venmo, Cash App, or whatever else, please consider it. If you already have, please hold on. Let me work with everyone else before you become the beautiful, lovely stopgap that I know you are. It will be needed. And actually, I can tell you, thanks to one of the guys that we have on team, we accomplished a lot in the last just this week. We have tomorrow another great interview filmed. We have several today, several yesterday. And as soon as we get done here, we're actually packing to go right back to the northern border and score an interview. I can't tell you who yet. It's a soldier. You might not have heard of this soldier. It's an American, and hard to get. But we got approval. Now we have to drive to Sumy, way up on the north side of the country from the south side of Mykolaiv. We go to Dnipro tomorrow. We'll do interviews there. Go back to Kyiv to basically reset, drop things off, and then return over to Sumy. Then we go back to Kyiv, and we have 2 major days of filming at the War Museum, where I finally will interview my friend Volodymyr Zemshikov. And then we have just a range of people we will cram in 2 more days of interviews. And a lot of the interviews are going to go into a drone documentary I've mentioned before. But at the same time, there's a lot of the information, especially because I live here versus the guys who are here working and will go back to America. They incorporate it into what I understand so that I can share with you guys. And um, basically, I told them, I say, moja robota, it's my job. So really, really, really good stuff. And we're able to focus on it well enough where I'm not having to basically run back to Kyiv and sit down and do, my typical development work and the other stuff that co-subsidizes this operation. So really, NatSecMedia and or Wiretap and or whatever we call ourselves, I don't really worry about titles, is a cooperative effort between me self-funding and doing the journalism that way, and then a handful of you guys and ladies in the background with straight donations. And now 118 of you are paid subscribers. Many of them are $5. A few have already paid an entire year, the $80. I had someone do the math and say, well, but wait, $5 times 12 is 60, but 80 is more than that. Right. You're funding journalism. That's essentially what you're doing with it. You're putting the money on the table that we help use to get jobs done for Ukrainian civilians, Ukrainian soldiers, aid workers in between. And of course, as you know, I don't give up on the topics in America. You help make sure that that part gets taken care of. So thank you for doing that. We have 4 founder members, and I don't know if I told you this. I found an error in the founder member situation that we fixed. So thank you to the person who paid the proper amount, which was $250. It's essentially the founder member. Really, I hold on a second. Founder member is very much something I think is very important in the journalism side. I'm not really worried about influencers having founder members because I don't know what they're doing, whatever. But here, for some people, the way that they can participate is to finance the operation that, sure, okay, finance the operation from a distance that helps. And I've said before, I like to give you accountability towards the, production. What is it it's doing? Who is tuned into? One of the major ones when these guys depart, and may be part of the tail end of the filming at the museum, is that I'm racking up very, very specific round of interviews with former POWs. In fact, fuck. Today, while we were at the training, someone says, "Well, when Vova was in captivity, and it's the guy who we had been on the test range with. Like literally, he was the one as we were being chased in the truck for an hour. He's the one operating the monitor to tell if we're being, tracked or not, and didn't even notice it for, a couple of hours of just hanging out with this guy. Speaks great English. And then my other new friend, he says, well, when Vova was in captivity, wait, you were in captivity? Yeah, yeah, yeah. First year also in Olenivka. I said, Olenivka, man. Okay, yeah, я знаю, it's Historia Trots, and I've shifted it to Ukrainian as a sign of solidarity. Yeah, young man who knows firsthand what it is, and I told him about my specialties. But yes, so the Defender family, one of the top organizations in the Defender family movement, has selected me to be, vice versa, to be a person who will help coordinate filming interviews and media materials to help get the awareness into the American sphere about time is life. As long as they hold these guys in captivity, we're losing lives. And I'm very aware, and I talked about this with them, and I've talked about it many times with our captive defenders versus just the civilians and the children, is that during war, there actually is no legal obligation to exchange anybody. They could just hold them. Same thing on this side. They could just hold them. So there has been a pattern since the beginning of exchanges, and it is important that they occur. And so I'm actually, despite the fact that the laws of war may not require them, it is occurring. It is also a very big manipulation tactic on the part of the Russians, as we know. And the biggest one is that regardless of that, Russia has to take care of the soldiers that they keep in captivity. And same thing with the government here. The government here, I know, does this, and then you know that Sean Penner and Aiden and others have personally surveyed it. I've personally surveyed it, and the standards are very, very complete. They're very modern. Um, some of the conditions actually piss off defender families here because they know their guys are not getting that in Russia. And so we have that. And again, your support in making sure that happens makes it very easy for me to remind the Ukrainian people in front of me, we're not profiting on you. What do you mean? Well, I don't take this interview we're about to do, go hand it to Kyiv Post or someone and get, whatever that amount is for an article or feature or sell it to whomever. We just get it done, we get it out there. And in this case, we'll also hand over the material so that the organization can publish. In addition to the brain power of it, like thinking about what American messaging looks like, what American messaging calls for, or in the case of creating liaisons with different government officials, different agencies in America. Having someone who dedicates to that time. You guys are the ones who help make sure that that's not really big issue. So thank you for doing that. Again, heading on a night mission, and we got a lot done today. I'm already a little red from some of it. Didn't bring all my extra sunscreen, but it's nice and cloudy right now, and it's sun down rest of the evening time. Thank you for all that you're doing. I hope you guys are safe where you're at. Again, tomorrow head on to Dnipro, then on to Kyiv, then on to Sumy, then back. We'll check in on the way. Take care of yourselves. Slava Ukraini, Heroim Slava, I Pizdets Rossiyskої Federacji.